Thank you, President. And I'm saddened but privileged to be part of this condolence. And I too can't actually remember the time that I met Jane, but I remember a particular time when I'd met her many times before that, but I had just been elected, and it was in 2014, and I was sitting in Rathdown Street kind of thinking, shit, what have I done? And Jane came past and saw me and sat down, ordered a bottle of wine, and sat down with me for a couple of hours and was just so generous in her support, in her insights, in her ideas. She gave me just quite a bit of wine, but which ended in some greater confidence, I think. I don't know that it was the wine, but it was certainly was her words. And then later that time, she opened my office, and she was so genuine in her joy and genuine in her happiness for us. And we weren't on the same team, obviously, but she made me feel like, it was important. And it is important that we're in here. And last night I was looking at some of her contributions because it was just so lovely to, as so many have said, to hear her speak, to hear that laugh, to feel that smile. But one contribution that I remembered was one during a birth certificate legislation in this place, and she talked about her own struggles, and with the Y in Jane in her name, and it wasn't at the end, it was in the middle, so it was Jane with a Y, not Janie, although I'm sure she was Janie as well to many of her friends. But she said at that time, we have a solemn responsibility as parliamentarians, and in a debate such as this, we are literally holding the well-being of people in our hands. Then she went on to say, when I first came into Parliament in my inaugural speech, I spoke about what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be in every decision that she made in Parliament. And we felt that every time she spoke. She was in that. It was her, she was giving so much of her when she spoke. And she went on to say that at the centre of it was respect for every corner of our community. And for me, respect is what you see, respect is what you hear, and respect is that you act. And like probably no one else will see, she did that so respectfully, so deeply, so passionately, and often so poignantly. But then she went on to say, there is no greater example or requirement for respect than when we are debating in this chamber. And all of us, to the best of my knowledge, enjoy a right that a small group of our community do not enjoy. When we are charged with that responsibility, we must see the people that we are making decisions about. Most importantly, we must hear the people, and then we must act. Those words will stay with me, and that is actually the advice that she gave in many different ways. That is the sentiment that she provided in so many of the contributions in here, in so many of the contributions in the electorates. And as so many, we loved hearing Jane speak, and whether that was in this place, whether that was in the community, when that was even at a polling booth. I used to love standing next to Jane at polling booths during election time. It was joyous. It was, there was much laughter, much banter, and quite often, not from me, of course, but from Jane singing. You always felt that she had time for the issue that you wanted to discuss with her, and that she had time for you. And I know that people in the electorate since her passing have also said that. Certainly a number of the people who work on Rathdown Street commented about this a lot. But it was whether she was talking about cemeteries or bushfires or payroll tax. She was insightful, she was poignant, and as many have said, she was often very funny. So to James and Molly and Sasha and Max, to Graham, to Catherine, To all her friends and all her colleagues, we will deeply miss her. My heart bleeds for you. And the world is a bit less a place with your loss. So from the team from my office and from the Reason Party, valet the fabulous Jane Garrett.